Shabbat Shalom. We have a special Shabbat speakers this week. First, it's my honor and privilege to welcome Sydney Unger Milgrom. Sydney is our youth director as well as the director of the Bridge, our downtown group. And if you haven't heard yet, Sydney and all of her work is being recognized. She is receiving the Jewish Education Center's one of their Educator of the Year awards, which will be presented in March. We're grateful for all that Sydney does, both for our teens, our young people, and our 20s and 30s. And Sydney's going to talk about Rachel Wolf and the special trip that they took together.
All right. Good morning and Shabbat Shalom. So, as you just heard, my name is Sydney Milgrom. I am the youth director here, which means I am lucky enough to help coordinate and staff our Hineni Fellowship, a program of the Isaacowitz Jewish Youth Initiative. We are so grateful for Mark and Steve Isaacowitz's meaningful gift that helps to preserve the memory of their parents, Paul and Vera. The Hineni Fellowship is a multi-month-long fellowship exclusively open to B'nai Yeshurun high school students, and the program is now in its third year. The Hineni Fellowship is an opportunity for students to participate in a unique learning experience, refine their leadership skills, build strong friendships, and learn about important and relevant topics in our community. The cornerstone of the Hineni Fellowship is a travel experience where participants learn about that year's theme in a hands-on, experiential manner. In 2022, we visited Washington, D.C., where our learning focused on the Holocaust, anti-Semitism, and Israel. And last year, in 2023, we visited Georgia and Alabama, where we learned about Judaism and the civil rights movement. 1 week from tomorrow, we will be taking a group of 21 teens to New York City, where they will be learning about Jewish immigration and the American Jewish experience. Hineni Fellows participate in 2 pre-sessions before the trip, where they get a jump start on understanding and engaging with the topic, and 2 post-sessions after the trip, where they process the experience and think about their next steps. Another cornerstone of the fellowship is the Hineni Creative Expression Project. Each teen who participates is required to produce a creative submission based on their experience in the program. Our students have submitted everything from essays and poems to digital art and videos, just to name a few. These submissions are looked at by a panel of judges from our community, and each year a select student or students are awarded the Isaacowitz Jewish Youth Initiative for their work. The funds for this prestigious scholarship can be used for a meaningful Jewish experience, such as an Israel trip or camp experience, Jewish studies classes at college, or for a community project based in the values of the Hineni Fellowship. Over the last 2 years, all our students' projects were amazing, but there were certainly a few that really stood out to our judges. Today, I am thrilled to introduce Rachel Wolf, who participated in last year's Hineni Fellowship and was one of our Isaacowitz Jewish Youth Initiative awardees. Rachel's project beautifully encapsulated the Hineni experience, and I can't wait for her to share more about it with you. I will now turn it over to Rachel to share. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Last year, I was given the opportunity to participate in the 2023 Hineni Fellowship, a cohort of a program of the Isaacowitz Jewish Youth Initiative, supported by the Paul and Vera Isaacowitz Foundation. The theme for the year was Judaism and Civil Rights, Values Lead to Action, inspiring a trip to Georgia and Alabama. Following the trip, we all created a creative piece to help bring meaning to and capture the whole experience. We attended pre-trip sessions, allowing us to understand the importance of the trip and gain knowledge about a possible less familiar topic. We met with leaders among our Jewish community and further Cleveland community about how they are connected to the civil rights movement and what it means to them. We learned about Jewish values, which we would further apply to our experiences in the South. We were provided with journals, and after each session would write about what we had learned to later help us with our projects. While on the trip, we saw famous sites that played a role in the civil rights movement, visited memorials and museums, and met with an individual who firsthand took part in the civil rights movement. All of this was alongside a tour guide who provided us with extensive knowledge and showed us countless sites in addition to the more well-known ones. Nightly, we debriefed our day as a group, talking about what spoke to us and why. We continued to write in the journals from the pre-sessions, adding information about what we experienced while it was still fresh. We were able to write our own thoughts and also write what others had mentioned in the conversation, which would ultimately help us craft our final projects. Following the trip, we also attended post-sessions focusing on Jewish values, specifically how they connected to our experiences on the trip, and brainstorming ideas for our final project. For my project, I decided to write an essay. Here are snippets from it with some additional comments. Hineni, here I am. I took a trip to Georgia and Alabama. Yes, I was there, but what does it really mean to be there? Is it literally being present, or is there a deeper meaning? Throughout the trip, I learned different perspectives of what being present can actually mean and the importance of being there. While there was no obligation for us to take a trip to learn about civil rights, at the same time there is an obligation. We have to be open and accepting. After using this as my opening, I proceeded by focusing on individual Jewish values, including Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, you are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. Al dam reacha, don't stand idly by the blood of your neighbor, and ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. We were not forced into coming on the trip, but it was something each of us felt was important for us to take on. It is part of our responsibilities as Jewish people to extend our knowledge and be willing to learn about things we may not understand. Going to the South, we were given the opportunity to learn about activists during the civil rights movement and even some Jewish leaders who played large roles in the movement. One person we learned about was Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge next to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. While in Alabama, we got a chance to physically be present at the spot this occurred, and we walked across the bridge. Being able to have communities from different backgrounds come together and support each other is crucial in a world with flaws. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," which directly shows the importance of standing up for others, even if it directly doesn't impact oneself. This trip helped us connect with others who from the outside might have less in common, but after taking the time to learn, there are many similarities to be found. One main part of the trip was being accepting and aware of other cultures. After arriving in Georgia, we went to a Sunday morning church service at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up. This was one way we were able to learn about and have a firsthand opportunity to experience another culture. We were able to compare and contrast the service with services here at B'nai Yeshurun. While in Alabama, we were also given the opportunity to hear from Bishop Woods and speak with him. Hearing his perspective of life and what he believes his mission is gave us new insight into how others view the world. Hearing from someone firsthand who was an active member in the civil rights movement is very different from reading about it in textbooks or on the internet. We talked and sang with him in a very open and honest conversation, which felt like talking to a grandparent, listening to stories from when they were younger. Listening to his stories enables us to pass them down and continue his legacy. Listening to him was a once-in-a-lifetime experience filled with compassion for others. Each of the Jewish values I focused on were demonstrated in a real-world scenario during our trip to the South. These values can be applied to Judaism, but are universal values that can be applied to everyone. They easily apply to the goals of the civil rights movement, wanting to gain equality and equity. This trip is a vehicle to remind us of the significance of our Jewish values as they shape our outlook and guide us towards living a life filled with acceptance and tolerance. Lastly, I would like to thank both B'nai Yeshurun and the Isakowitz family for funding the entire experience. I am honored to have been chosen as a recipient for an Isakowitz Jewish Youth Initiative Award.
Thank you, Sydney and Rachel. You exemplify what is so important in our Jewish values. And Rachel, we couldn't be more proud. I'm excited. I'm going on the trip next week to New York. And I just wanted to say that as our students learned about the history of Jews and blacks together in the civil rights movement, we are rekindling that and building a relationship with Shiloh Baptist Church. That was our home as a synagogue at 55th and Scoville from 1905 until we moved to Mayfield road in the early 1920s. And you may have read on the front page of the Plain Dealer this week that Shiloh Baptist received a special grant of $150,000 to restore the historic dome, and have been meeting with Pastor Goods and building a relationship as an opportunity for our congregation to build connections with an African American church here in Cleveland, and look forward to opportunities for us to worship together and to have fellowship and to build relationship together, which is very important. As you know, in our Torah reading, we read about the last 3 plagues in Parshat Bo. Plague number 9 is a plague of darkness. And the plague of darkness is described in a very interesting way in the Torah. It says this, Lo ra'u ish et achav. People could not see one another. It wasn't that you couldn't see. It was that people couldn't see another person standing next to him. Obviously, right now, we are feeling that plague of darkness. As Jews, as Zionists, as supporters and lovers of Israel, we feel that darkness. We feel that we are not seen. We feel that our pain is not seen. And it's our job to speak up and to see each other's pain. And in that way, there won't be darkness. There will be light, and there'll be connections as we stand hand in hand, like Abraham Joshua Heschel stood with Dr. King, and so many others stood together, supporting each community. Let it be that we stand hand in hand, that there's no darkness, there's light, that we see each other, we lift each other up, and we say, Amen.